This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. Recently, my wife opened an online store selling stockings, and she asked me to be her model, wearing black stockings for her to take photos. Honey, your legs look so good, customers will definitely want to buy them. I won't shoot your face, just your legs. Hearing this, I agreed and followed her instructions, posing in various uncomfortable positions. But every time I asked her about the sales, she would always hesitate, then hand me new stockings to wear and take more photos. One day, while I was walking down the street, my wife's first love, Tony, stopped me, took a picture of my face with his phone, and mocked me. Man, you've lost all your self-respect. If I didn't think it would be boring, I wouldn't have let your wife take those photos of you. With a look of anger and surprise, I watched as he pulled out the pictures of me in stockings that my wife had taken. Look at these photos. Everyone in the neighborhood has seen them. Then he licked his lips and said with a sly grin, "Your wife's too." I gritted my teeth, glaring at the provocateur in front of me. I clenched my fist and punched him in the face, shouting, "Tony, stop talking nonsense. Shut up. Hailey's not that kind of person." I punched him again and again. My only thought in that moment was to make him shut up. Tony didn't fight back, even though I left him bruised and bloodied. He still looked at me with mockery in his eyes and said, "Rocky, I didn't expect you to still be this naive after all these years. But tell me, didn't you fail to satisfy Hailey? She always kept asking me for more, but after a while she got bored. Who would have thought she'd convince you to wear stockings and strike those provocative poses? Haha, you know what?" While I watched, before he could finish, I punched him in the face again, knocking him to the ground. He howled loudly, "I'm calling the cops. I'm going to have you thrown in jail. Rocky, you're just a coward." The police took us to the station for questioning. Tony kept crying, pointing at his face and sobbing, "Officer, look what he did to my face. He hit me so hard. I won't settle. I want him detained." At that moment, Hailey walked in, her brow furrowed, clearly upset. She saw me and complained, "How old are you? Why are you still fighting with others? Can't you control yourself? Now you're dragging family, and don't you feel embarrassed?" Before I could speak, Tony stood up shakily and cried out, "Hailey, look what Rocky did to my face. How am I supposed to work now?" Hailey, hearing Tony's voice, turned around suddenly. The flicker of surprise in her eyes didn't escape me. "Tony, how did this happen? Oh my God, who did this to you? That's too much. We have to make sure he goes to jail." I sneered calmly, replying, "I did it." Without saying a word, Hailey rushed up to me and slapped me hard across the face, saying angrily, "Why did you hit him? You didn't have to be so rough. Don't you realize how much damage this does to his work? Apologize to him right now and pay for his medical expenses." That slap stung so much it left my cheek burning. Tony, feigning tears, sniffled and said nonchalantly, "Hailey, maybe Rocky's still upset about us being together before. I've explained it to him many times, but he wouldn't listen and even hit me. I can't imagine what he's like at home. Does he hit you too?" At hearing this, I looked at Hailey with a half smile, my tone dripping with sarcasm. "What do you think of me? You opened an online store selling stockings, made me model them, and posed in all sorts of indecent ways. By the way, after all this time, why haven't you told me the name of the store? Let me see how well it's selling." Hailey's face turned pale, her eyes started to dart around, and she stammered, unable to explain. I stopped smiling, my expression serious, as I said quietly, "That's because you didn't open an online store. You were using those photos to please Tony, right?" As soon as I said it, both of them chorused, "No." Hailey's eyes reddened and her voice quivered as she said, "Rocky, how can you say that? Even though Tony and I were once in love, I'm your wife now. How could I do something to hurt you?" Tony nodded in agreement and said, "Buddy, you must have misunderstood. I don't have any photos of you in stockings, but I didn't expect your married life to be this spicy. Hailey, you're quite the player." Hailey blushed and lowered her head, shyly scolding him, "Stop talking nonsense. There are so many people around." I stood there watching them flirt and twist the truth. I couldn't take it anymore and shouted, "Enough. Tony, don't you dare take out your phone and let the officers see it. Don't you dare repeat what you just said." Tony blinked innocently, handed his phone to the officer, and said with a carefree tone, "Rocky, are you paranoid? Hailey, maybe you should take him to see a doctor. I think his condition is quite serious." The officer scrolled through Tony's phone for a while before looking at me seriously and saying, "We didn't find those photos on his phone. Try to recall again. However, we should focus on the fact that you hit him. Since Tony didn't fight back, it doesn't count as mutual combat. Mr. Tony, would you prefer to settle this privately or pursue legal action?" Tony sighed dramatically, casting a loving glance at Hailey, and said nonchalantly, "For Hailey's sake, I won't press charges, but the medical and emotional damages need to be compensated. Rocky, you should be grateful, man, for getting a wife like her." Tony rolled his eyes at me, and Hailey looked at me with disgust, as though I was the one causing all this trouble. I stumbled through the paperwork at the station, then followed them them silently out of the building. "Hailey, I won't be driving you home, so your man doesn't beat me up again." He smiled coldly and walked up to me, slapping my shoulder. Then he leaned in and whispered in my ear, "You're really dumb, huh? No wonder Hailey married a guy like you. But hey, those legs of yours look great in black stockings. Since you're unemployed at home, I can introduce you to a few old men with special tastes. I hear they pay well for a night. Don't let those legs go to waste." After he took a few steps back, he shot me a mocking smile through a flirtatious glance at Hailey and got into his car, driving off. "Rocky, just go already, don't you want to save face?" Hailey sneered and turned her head away, not wanting to look at me. I stood beside her, quietly staring at her delicate features, my thoughts drifting back to when we were dating. Back then she was innocent and carefree, and I worried about her being taken advantage of, so I secretly took care of everything for her. When my business failed and she offered to help me support our family, I was deeply moved, almost to tears. But I never imagined she would use opening an online store as a front to do such dirty things. I closed my eyes and sighed deeply, whispering, "Hailey, let's get a divorce." She frowned slightly and with a tone of irritation replied, "Rocky, this is a misunderstanding. Can you stop making a scene? If you really want to see my online store, I'll be honest with you. I didn't want to show it to you because the store went under, but I didn't want to tell you. So I pretended it was still operating and kept making you wear stockings for photos." I looked at her in disappointment. Though she sounded annoyed, I could still catch a trace of panic in her eyes. "You know what this is all about. I don't want to lay it all out, but the way you played along with Tony at the police station was disgusting. Hailey, we can part ways peacefully, but if you want to make things ugly, it'll only embarrass you. This marriage has to end. I'm staying in a hotel for now. Don't bother coming back. You should pack your things." With that, I turned without another glance and hailed a taxi. As soon as I sat down, I heard Hailey shout behind me, "Rocky, if you leave now, it's over between us." I chuckled softly and ignored her, shutting the door and telling the driver to go. Through the side mirror, I saw her standing there glaring at my car with a twisted expression. I sighed, hoping this nightmare would end quickly so it wouldn't ruin my life. When I checked in at the hotel, I noticed people staring at me and whispering behind my back. Suddenly, I felt uneasy. I opened my phone to see a push notification. "CEO of our group puts on stockings to attract attention amid financial crisis." My heart raced and my fingers trembled as I opened the article. There I was in black stockings, posing provocatively, my face blurred but still recognizable. A man walked by, eyeing me suggestively, and said, "Buddy, got a thing for stockings. Do you sell used ones? I'll offer $500 for a pair. How about it?" He bent down and slowly reached for my leg. I stepped back quickly, shouting, "Get lost, stop harassing me. Where's the hotel security?" To my surprise, the security guard just glanced at me and didn't move. Then he scoffed and said, "You're the one in that business, right? He's just asking. Besides, he didn't touch you, so what's the harassment? Yeah, you posted those photos online posing like that. You clearly like this stuff, don't pretend." The man sneered as he walked away, spitting on the ground. People around were watching and even filming me, mocking me. I looked around in anger but didn't say a word. I left the hotel lobby and immediately called Hailey. "Why did you do this? I trusted you, and you betrayed me like this. What's wrong with me? Don't accuse me falsely. Are you talking about those photos being posted online? I didn't want that to happen. My phone got a virus, probably hackers like those photos." I took a deep breath, holding back my anger, and said calmly, "Hailey, what do you want?" "Well, I want you to leave everything behind, and I'll help clear your name. But you better hurry up. If you don't clear things up soon, that weird fetish will be confirmed." I knew Hailey was the one who intentionally leaked those photos, but I had no evidence. What angered me even more was that she was using this to blackmail me. After thinking it through, I decided to return home and confront her face-to-face. But when I opened the door, I found Tony lounging on the sofa in a bathrobe, sipping wine. When he saw me, he wasn't the least bit startled. Instead, he smiled and invited me to join him for a drink. "Our famous man's back. Come sit down, let's have some wine together. That bottle you've been keeping is really good." Hailey went to shower. She was sweating from her workout, he said casually. Tony's eyes were full of provocation and mockery, completely different from how he behaved at the police station. I suppressed the fury in my heart, turned around, and walked to the bathroom door, saying loudly, "Hailey, we need to talk." After a long while, the bathroom door slowly opened. Hailey emerged wearing a low-cut silk camisole dress with several red marks on her neck. "You said you weren't coming back. Why are you here now? But since you saw, I'll be honest, I don't love you anymore." With that, she walked past me and sat directly next to Tony. She draped her legs over his lap and wrapped her arms around his neck, coquettishly saying, "My neck is all red now, it's all your fault." Little demon who was shouting, "I want more" earlier. The two of them started flirting in front of me, speaking explicitly. The sense of humiliation surged within me. I grabbed the nearest cup and smashed it onto the ground, coldly saying, "If you two want to perform an explicit show in front of me, I can start a live stream so everyone can watch." Hailey snorted, rolled her eyes at me, and impatiently said, "You dare throw a cup? What bad manners. Just tell me what you want and stop wasting my time with Tony." "Hailey, I can agree to divorce, but I won't leave empty-handed. You cheated during our marriage and violated my privacy. How can you expect to take all my assets even if my business is struggling right now? Have I ever mistreated you? If you help me clear up those photos, I won't expose your affair." She froze for a moment, then burst into laughter. "Do you think I'm afraid of you exposing this? Tony's resources are better than yours. Besides, cheating during marriage is pretty normal nowadays, but your situation is rare. I wonder if any of your employees would still want to work for you after they see this." With that, she and Tony laughed together, filling the house with the sound of their mockery. I silently pressed my lips together, said nothing more, and turned to leave the house. I immediately called the moving company. "Please move all the furniture to another location. I'll send the address over shortly. If they don't let you take it, just smash everything. Don't leave anything." After hanging up, I headed to the small house I bought before marriage and opened the social media platform to register an account. Since Hailey wasn't willing to clear things up, I wouldn't hesitate to lay everything out for everyone. Before recording the video, I sent a message in the company group. "Hello everyone, I know the company's funds are a bit tight lately, but please rest assured, I won't delay any salaries. As for the recent rumors online, if you think I'm the person described and no longer want to work here, you're free to resign. I will compensate you." I waited for a long time, but no one replied, and at that moment I felt a deep sense of disappointment. I put down my phone, quietly lying on the small bed, staring at the ceiling. I started thinking about everything between Hailey and me and suddenly realized maybe she never really loved me. Just then my phone started ringing nonstop. I hurriedly opened it and saw that the employees were comforting me in the group. "CEO Rocky, we've all been with you for a long time. How could we not know your character? Exactly, you loved your wife so much there's no way you'd do something like that. The public opinion is quite strong now. Hurry and get the company PR to handle it." My vision blurred and tears fell onto the phone screen. Luckily, there were still people who believed in me. "No need. I'll explain things to everyone. The company can't be involved any longer. Thank you for trusting me. Once the company gets through this, I won't let you down." Their encouragement gave me the courage to face the online rumors. I wiped my tears and started recording the video. "Hello everyone, I'm Rocky, the owner of our group. I'm sorry for occupying public resources today, but I must speak up for myself. I admit those photos are indeed of me because my wife told me she was opening an online store selling stockings, and she thought my legs looked good, so she asked me to model for her. I supported her business, so I agreed to help. At this point, my nose felt tight and I choked up, but I never expected that she didn't actually open an online store. Instead, she gave those photos to her first love, the famous model Tony, as a way to spice up their affair in bed. This is the truth of the matter. I hope the public stops spreading rumors. I will take legal action to protect my rights, and I will sue Hailey and Tony. The video quickly went viral. People had mixed opinions. Some sympathized with me while others thought it was just publicity. But at that moment, those comments didn't matter anymore. What was important was that I had spoken the truth. Hailey reacted quickly as well. She repeatedly denied telling me about opening a stocking store and, to divert attention, talked about me hitting Tony. She even posted photos of his bruised face. "Mr. Rocky, I really think you should see a psychiatrist. I suspect you have paranoid delusions." The police also checked Tony's phone, and there were no photos of you in stockings. As for why this happened at the police station, it's because Mr. Rocky assaulted Tony. As soon as she sent this out, my comments and private messages were flooded by Tony's fans, all filled with vicious insults. I expected Hailey to do this, so I released the footage from the home surveillance cameras, no longer caring about preserving any last bit of decency. "So what were you two doing in front of me? Any man would have reacted that way. And now you want me to leave empty-handed? Why should I?" Hailey was completely panicked and bombarded me with calls and messages demanding I explain myself. "You actually installed tiny cameras at home without telling me. How despicable. I'm not asking you to leave with nothing. Just leave half okay. Rocky, considering how many years we've been together, can we just let this go? I'm sorry. Please forgive me." I looked at her from her initial arrogance to her later desperate pleas and sneered. I had originally wanted to leave her a little dignity, but since she wouldn't let it go and had made things so ugly, I decided to end it. Under the pressure of public opinion, Hailey and Tony publicly apologized to me, saying it was because they had been drunk. When I drink, I tend to say things I don't mean. Rocky, please don't hold it against me. I hope you, being the bigger person, can forgive us. If the company needs help, I will definitely step in. I sneered coldly as I watched them cry on camera. It was all so ridiculous. Their so-called apology was just a way to quickly bury this incident. I sent Hailey the time for us to finalize the divorce and also sent her a divorce agreement. I'll give you 1/3 of the marital assets. The rest stays with me. If you continue to cause trouble, you won't get a single cent. Hailey immediately called me, shouting angrily, "After all these years together, I'm only worth that much. I deserve some shares in the company. If it weren't for me taking those photos, how would our group's stock have rebounded? You should be thanking me." I couldn't be bothered to argue with her. I hung up the phone and then sent her a text. "Do whatever you want. We'll go to court if necessary. Contact my lawyer for any matters. Don't disturb me." After doing all this, I officially posted a message on the company's official account. A new product is about to launch, so stay tuned. Unexpectedly, because of the stocking incident, a stocking manufacturer reached out to me hoping to collaborate. I thought about it and decided to agree. Since they were giving me a chance to revive the company, I was determined to seize it. I ignored everyone's objections and personally put on the stockings to shoot the promotional pictures. Before posting, the employees were worried that I would face more public discussion and online harassment, but I felt that this was the best way to fight back. The photo shoot didn't contain any sexual implications. It simply showcased the stretchability and invisibility of the stockings from every angle. Once the promotional images were released, the internet exploded with people calling me a real man. Rocky's mental fortitude is incredible. Wow, I never expected him to be so brave. Unbelievable, he's willing to sacrifice his face for money. This is so embarrassing for us men. I carefully read every comment and made sure to respond to each one. Stockings were originally made for men, and there's no rule that says men can't wear them. Stockings are just a type of clothing, but some people have turned them into a sexual suggestion. I chose to model them myself to show everyone not to judge people with colored glasses. My sincerity made many online users start defending me, and some even bravely shared their own similar experiences. No one cared about a man wearing stockings anymore. Overnight, the company's situation improved drastically, and I immediately sent out double bonuses to the employees. Thank you all for believing in me. Things will only get better from here. Some companies reached out hoping to collaborate on a fashion show so people could directly see and understand. I agreed without hesitation, but my secretary looked a bit displeased, speaking with a hint of dissatisfaction. "One of the invited models is Tony. Are you sure you want to invite him?" I raised an eyebrow, responding calmly, "Sure, why not? It'll give me a chance to see how good he is at his job and whether he and Hailey are truly living the good life." Before the big show, I organized a dinner. To my surprise, Tony brought Hailey along. They were both dressed luxuriously, sparkling with jewelry, completely unaffected by public opinion, greeting everyone as if nothing had happened. I couldn't help but smile, faintly picked up a glass of wine and walked over to them. When they saw me coming, their expressions became slightly awkward. However, in such a setting, they greeted me with enthusiasm. "CEO Rocky, long time no see. Didn't expect this twist of fate would lead you to this business." I pretended not to hear the sarcasm in Tony's tone, generously handing him a drink, and replied nonchalantly, "Yes, how else could I be your client? But I wasn't sure if Tony would be willing to walk in this kind of show. I was worried you might not be interested in such a runway." His face darkened when he heard that, but he didn't argue. He just gave me a cold glare. Given what had happened before him, even getting a gig was already good enough. Hailey, however, was smug, scoffing as she said, "If Tony didn't have any free time lately, why would he even take such a gig? It's not even luxury goods." "Rocky, I've already made myself clear. Since I helped you expand your business, you should give me a share." Seeing her shameless attitude, I couldn't help but laugh. How did I not notice how thick-skinned she was before? Tony, aware of his current situation, quickly tugged at Hailey, signaling her to stop talking. He then smiled at me and said, "CEO Rocky, you don't have to worry about my abilities. A show of this level is a piece of cake for me. I've got some friends to greet over there, so I'll go ahead." With that, he quickly pulled Hailey aside, not daring to stay any longer. As the dinner was winding down, I had just reached the corner when someone suddenly grabbed my arm forcefully from the shadows and jumped into my embrace, wrapping one leg around my thigh. Before I could react, I heard a delicate voice from the person in my arms. "Rocky, let me keep you company tonight. I'll wear stockings for you." Hearing Hailey's voice, I pushed her away with all my strength, quickly stepping back. "Hailey, what's wrong with you? Stop being so desperate with me. Go find Tony." She staggered and nearly fell into the nearby wall, looking pitifully at me as she said, "You know they say a married couple has 100 days of affection. Do you have no feelings left for me?" I looked at her with disgust, quickly turning my face away and coldly saying, "Enough. I've already cut ties with you. I hope you understand the situation now." now. If you're not happy with the divorce agreement, we can renegotiate, but you won't be getting any shares. I hope you'll save yourself some dignity." I turned to leave, but to my surprise, she suddenly began screaming and tearing at her clothes, messing up her hair. The commotion caught the attention of the other guests, and they rushed over. As I frowned watching Hailey go mad, Tony stormed over furious and threw a punch at my face. "Rocky, you really have no shame. You're divorcing her and still bullying Hailey just because you're becoming popular now." The punch left me seeing stars, and I couldn't react in time. The people around quickly pulled Tony away, and the scene erupted in chaos. "Rocky, if you're a man, you should compensate Hailey. Giving her a small portion is nothing. She even had a miscarriage for you. That really hurt her body." At that moment, I regained my composure. I understood what he and Hailey had been up to. They were only singing in harmony to get a share of the company's stock. I sneered and locked eyes with Hailey, questioning her. "Are you sure the child you miscarried was mine? If you're lying, I'll only give you $1 million. A flash of panic crossed her face, and after a brief hesitation, she yelled, "It was your child. Rocky, if you continue to slander me, I'll end it all tonight." She struggled to stand up, wobbling over to a nearby table and grabbing a fruit knife, ready to stab herself in the chest. Everyone screamed in terror, and the scene descended into chaos, but Tony showed no sign of fear. It seemed these two had come prepared and wouldn't stop until they got what they wanted. After exchanging a look, Hailey and Tony, with tears in their eyes, shouted at me, "Rocky, I'll make you regret this for the rest of your life. I want you to live in regret forever. Fine, do whatever you want. I'll burn incense for you during festivals. Don't worry about not having money when you're down there." The people nearby quickly tugged at my sleeve and whispered, "CEO Rocky, please don't provoke her. What if something happens to her?" I smirked slightly and casually replied, "She's not going to die. Don't worry." "And why am I so sure the child isn't mine?" "Because I went for a physical exam recently and found out I have a condition called azoospermia." "So whose child was it in her belly?" When everyone heard this, they all turned to look at Tony. Hailey's face turned pale, but she still defiantly said, "Just because you say it's not yours doesn't make it true. Don't try to use such an excuse. We're not fools." I raised an eyebrow, indifferent, and said, "If anyone doesn't believe me, we can all go to a public hospital. You can watch me undergo sperm extraction live." At these words, everyone sided with me, mockingly laughing at the two of them. Tony, realizing he had no way out, quickly dragged Hailey out of the banquet hall. When the news spread, the heat of our fashion show only increased, and more brands wanted to join in, mostly just to see Tony. I tagged both of them online. "Thanks for the attention, we'll call on you again next time," which made them so furious that they immediately closed their comment section and direct messages. The fashion show was held as scheduled, with every seat filled. Some top-tier celebrities also came to watch. I greeted each of them and then went backstage to check the preparations. As I was approaching the makeup room door, I overheard Tony complaining, "Your makeup skills are really terrible. No sense of aesthetics whatsoever. The company is improving now, and part of it is thanks to me, but you guys can't even put in a little effort. Be careful or I might quit." I immediately pushed the door open and smiled as I said, "Sure, but it was you who broke the contract first, so that'll be 3 times the compensation." Tony immediately shut his mouth as soon as I entered, though his eyes were full of dissatisfaction. "The makeup artists are designing according to the event theme. Everyone is working in the same style. If you're really not happy, I can only consider you as uncooperative with the client and will have the payment." As soon as he heard this, he stood up, put on a smile, and patted my shoulder. "I was just making a suggestion." That was all said in a fit of anger. "There are so many people here today because of me. I can't afford to mess up now. That's just unprofessional. CEO Rocky, I've been rude before, but today I'll definitely give my best performance." I smiled and didn't respond, turning and leaving the makeup room. The show officially began. The lights and decorations were perfect, and the models strutted down the runway in sync with the beat. The audience was very focused, and some celebrities even approached me hoping to collaborate. As the show neared its end, Tony took the stage. I have to admit, his performance was great. Putting aside everything else, I was still willing to let him model for my brand. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, the music stopped, and the big screen began to show photos of me wearing stockings, bolder than the ones that had been leaked before. The entire venue fell silent, everyone staring at the screen in shock. At that moment, Tony looked at me with a provocative gaze, grabbed the microphone, and said, "I think the success of a brand depends on whether the founder is willing to showcase it themselves. CEO Rocky, since you've worn stockings before, why not wear them again and show everyone today? I believe the audience would love to see it, right?" The audience didn't respond. Security had already rushed in, ready to escort Tony off the stage. I stood up, waved my hand, and walked up confidently, taking the microphone from him. "If everyone is willing, I'm happy to do it, but I'm I'm worried you all might think my body isn't good enough. I was really uncomfortable with these photos being exposed at first, afraid of what others might think. But now I feel that everyone has the right to be beautiful. Maybe some men have always wanted to wear stockings but lacked the courage. Maybe my appearance gives them some encouragement. After changing backstage, I proudly walked the runway, even though some people looked at me with mockery in their eyes. At that moment, Hailey suddenly appeared, looking at me in disbelief. She grabbed my arm, gritting her teeth, and said, "Rocky, don't you have any shame? Don't you think this is embarrassing?" I pulled my arm away, forcefully, coldly saying, "As embarrassing as it is, it's nothing compared to what someone like you brings. I've already filed a lawsuit against you, and you have no more chance to negotiate with me." Tony and Hailey had bribed one of the staff members at the event, but they once again unintentionally pushed me to the top of trending topics. The events of the fashion show were posted online, and everyone started attacking them, much harsher than when they had attacked me. Tony's modeling career came to an end. His so-called resources and connections with big shots were all lies he'd told Hailey. In reality, he was just a plaything to those people. When Hailey found out the truth, she had a huge fight with him. The two went separate ways, and she turned to me to reconcile. "Rocky, I beg you to meet me. I truly know I was wrong. After all this, you're still the best for me." She camped out at the building entrance every day, arguing with security, claiming to be the boss's wife. "If you touch me again, I swear I'll fire you." Seeing her make a scene that was affecting my business, I finally invited her to my office. As soon as Hailey walked in, she took off her coat, revealing a transparent lingerie set, and leaned on my desk, striking seductive poses. "Rocky, how long has it been since we were together properly? Let me serve you just this one time." I sighed, picked up my phone, and backed into a corner, helplessly saying, "Please put your clothes back on. I'm in the middle of something. Don't say anything. Just look at me and feel it. Don't worry, some things even Tony never experienced." The next second, she turned around, her eyes full of desire, and began to unbutton her clothes. I held up my phone, showing her the screen, and said helplessly, "Are you sure you want to keep undressing?" When she saw the screen, she screamed, quickly covered herself, and rushed out of my office. I had been attending an online press conference, but when she caused such a scene downstairs, I had no choice but to pause and handle her situation. Unexpectedly, I accidentally triggered the camera, and the screen flipped, exposing Hailey's seductive behavior to everyone. At that moment, she became an overnight sensation. The rumors about her were fully confirmed, and netizens started sympathizing with me. "Rocky is so unfortunate. He never intended to expose this couple, but they brought it upon themselves." Hailey looked like a respectable woman, but behind closed doors she was so wild. TSK. At the same time, my divorce with Hailey was finalized. Since she was at fault, I only had to give her 5,000,000. She refused to accept the ruling and didn't dare to make any more trouble at the company. So she had no choice but to look for another job and continue fighting the lawsuit. But everyone knew her reputation, and no major company dared to hire her. In the end, she had to work at a small, unofficial company. The next time I saw her, she was wearing a cheap short skirt, hanging on to a greasy man's arm, grinning obsequiously. She locked eyes with me for a brief moment, her face flushing with embarrassment. I glanced at her indifferently, then turned away and continued talking to someone else. Before long, the man dragged her over, smiling obsequiously, and said to me, "CEO Rocky, I know this woman was your wife before, but she cheated on you. Now she works for me, and she listens to my every word. Come." Hailey kneel on the ground and bark like a dog for CEO Rocky. All eyes turned to Hailey, and her face instantly turned red. She murmured, "CEO William, there are too many people here. Please don't do this." The next second, William slapped her hard, and her face swelled up immediately. "What the hell are you? You dare to make demands when we were in bed? You weren't complaining, were you? You're just a worthless piece of trash." As soon as he finished, Hailey couldn't hold it in anymore and ran out crying. I gave William a disgusted glance and said to the security, "What's going on with your security? Why are you letting all kinds of people and get them out?" Unexpectedly that night, Hailey met a tragic end and died unexpectedly. Out of humanitarian concern, I took Tony with me to the police station to claim the body. Hailey's body was horrifying. She had been tortured in life, and there wasn't a single piece of her body left unscathed. Tony was so frightened that he collapsed to the ground, losing control of himself. I glanced at the body emotionlessly and said flatly, "It's Hailey. Please help me contact the funeral home." When we left the police station, Tony suddenly became disoriented, huddling in a corner shouting, "Don't look for me." I narrowed my eyes, suspecting that Hailey's death had something nothing to do with him, but since he wanted to act crazy, I decided to let him. I immediately contacted a mental hospital to take him away. After Hailey was cremated, I placed her ashes in Tony's room with her photo on the box. You two once loved each other so much, so let her stay with you forever. Tony, you'd better treat her well. Tony trembled but didn't speak. I sneered and left the mental hospital. From then on, everything in the past was irrelevant to me. The future would only get better. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.